Braille to me in everyday life is still very important in that I use it quite a lot. And sometimes even without realizing, for instance, I have a Braille watch which I open up and I can feel the hands and feel the small hand, the large hand. So it keeps me aware of time, which is really important. Around labeling, I do quite a lot of at home. We have certain things labeled. The washing machine has like small wash, large wash, a wash. There's the stove has some labeling, so that's beneficial. So even things when I travel independently, going to a building, most buildings these days will have lifts that have Braille signage. So, or 1, 2 ground, etc. Feeling for that, or railway stations. I often travel on railway stations trying to find concourse or platforms. So, quite a lot of Braille I use in just moving about. The way I use Braille is in different ways. For instance, I read some hard copy Braille books. So a lot of books these days are available through audio, and that's enjoyable. But for me and for other people I know, there's still something nice about actually sitting down with a hard copy Braille book and reading that, especially for me, it's a bit of a summertime, Christmas time feeling. Around Louis Braille's birthday is obviously at summertime here, and so it gives me that feeling. And it's probably sort of reflects back to when I was a child on long school holidays. Something to do was read a Braille book. So I still like doing that. And these days, with Braille books, they have what they call refreshable Braille. So it's on a computer, and you feel the dots, and then you press a button, and then the next set of characters come up. So not even a hard copy; it's all on your computer. I learnt Braille at the age of 7.5. I became blind at the age of 7.5 in an accident, and that meant that I then had to learn or relearn how to read. And I started at a school for blind children where they introduced me to what they call grade 1 Braille, which is letter by letter. So I learned A down to Z, and then into those little words like mum, dad, dog, cat, and then build it up into sentences. And it's all by adjusting to touch. And the Braille cell is specifically designed for the tip of your finger and the feeling of each dot. And then the more experienced I became at reading, I then was able to feel the cells as one word, as you would read in print. You don't read letter by letter. So I would feel a word and know instantly that is a particular word. It complements me in the way that it's another way of accessing information. And I always reflect back to Louis Braille in the sense that all those years ago, he said Braille is a means of communicating and accessing education and information. And that is so true in that it's not in isolation, it's in combination with all the other facets of life. And to read and write, it's an automatic for people. It should be an automatic thing that happens in all our lives. It's a right to be able to read and write. So Braille has become that, and it's part of one of many things that help me to live a good quality of life. So Achieve, when I started working at Achieve, asked me the question about what they could do to assist me when accessing information, and in particular was Braille something that could benefit me with my work and when I'm in the office. One of the first things we looked at was labeling of the different canisters or jars in the kitchen so that I could confidently walk in and find the green tea as opposed to English breakfast or Earl Grey, or avoid using raw sugar and all those things that often people take for granted. So that really encouraged me to access and use the kitchen like all other staff members. The other really important part of my work was to provide me with the material, because part of my role is interviewing participants of Achieve Australia who have a disability, and my role is to visit them, and I have a series of questions and I read the Braille from left to right. So in front of me I have what is question 25, and the question is, did you get support to decide where to live? That's one of the questions. And it could be, yes, I got a lot of support, I got a support, I got some support, I got a little bit of support. No, I did not get a support. So they're the options that people could use or choose when answering that question, or an alternative answer. So my fingers go from left to right, and I'm feeling the whole word rather than letter by letter, and going down the page to the very bottom. And once I reach the bottom, obviously I'll move across to the top of the next page to question 26, which is, does where you live feel like home? That's the question. When it comes to fun facts and things that really inspire me, and Louis Braille, I think, was one of the most brilliant, gifted, probably in my mind, a genius. Born in 1809 in France, came from a little village called Couvray. He became blind at the age of 3. He was with his dad in the workshop, and unfortunately he poked a sharp object into his right eye and subsequently lost sight in both eyes. And this is back in, it would have been 1812, that's Napoleon period. So very little medical science, and as he grew older he realised that there was very little that he could use to read or learn. Only he relied on memory and people telling him things. And in those days they were exploring different options to read, and they were trying to develop tactile shaped letters for people to read, but that was really quite ineffectual. And that's where he came up with this whole idea of using 6 dots in the shape of a domino, and the combination of those 6 dots would create what we now call Braille, the Braille code, that is international. He died in 1852, and sadly he didn't realise what a legacy he had left for the future generations, including myself. He was an outstanding man. He was a very, very accomplished organist as well. So very talented, and like I say, in my mind, a genius.